Welcome everybody to this exciting Triple B interview, and tonight I am very excited. This gentleman took the time out of his busy schedule to come on the Triple B Experience show. He's an assistant editor. He's an editor. He's a filmmaker, and he's directed his latest movie called Solid Rock Trust. I've seen it. It's very, very good, and it's my honor and pleasure to introduce my guest this evening, Mr. Rick Ives. Rick, thank you so much for coming on.
Whoa, thank you. What an intro.
Well, I try.
You go by Bubba, right? Bubba.
I do, yes.
It doesn't matter what your name is. Oh, sorry. That's the only
okay.
Wrestling reference I could do, because
That's okay. But if we can get him to actually do something for both of us, we'll be doing good. You know what I mean?
Yes, we would be. Yeah, that's the
as long
truth.
as he's not Black Adam.
I've been on a movie with him before. He was so nice.
Oh, I met him a couple about 20 years ago. I met him. What movie did you interact
the
with?
The first movie that I worked on that was a location, was like right out of college. I was probably only 23 or 24. Was in Hawaii, and it was Journey to Mysterious Island.
Okay, I remember that.
So that's a kid's family movie, but it's got him. It's got Michael Caine, which was amazing. It had who's everybody in that movie? You have to go look it up.
Josh
Hutcherson, I think. What's his name? Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. See, you got interesting stories in the first minute, 30 seconds you've been on. Rick.
Anyways, get on with it. Yeah, what do you want to hear?
No, well,
thanks for having me. It's great. It's great to be on.
No, thanks for I sent that I networked, and I'm glad I threw out a hook, and you said yeah, sure, and you because you were very efficient when you do your podcasting stuff. So I was like, oh geez, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, well, I got to do my homework. But
yeah, you have some homework to do. Well, I'm happy to be here. You say thank you for giving my time, and ironically, I have a ton of free time right now because everyone's on strike and I'm not working. So here we go.
Well, maybe we'll start. Maybe we'll start with that and then go in. What? So what can you do?
You know what? I was already booked on a show that was going to start a few weeks ago. I can't tell you what it is, but it's going to be a big one. And they called like a week before we were supposed to start and said, hey, we're going into postponement because of the writer's strike, and we don't know when we're going to be back. So I have something lined up, but I'm in the same boat as a lot of people right now where there's just nothing happening. I was at the studio, or a studio. I'm in Atlanta. I went to one of the studios last week, and it was a ghost town. I'd never seen it like that on a weekday. It felt like a Sunday afternoon, where it's totally empty. And I was like, man, what's happening? Oh, yeah. Nothing's shooting right now. That's what.
and it's terrible because I'm looking forward for a lot of stuff, and now I'm going to have to wait. But how do you feel about this whole situation going down, if you don't mind me asking? And you don't have to say anything. So.
Oh, no, that's cool. I was in support of the strike, the writer's strike. I'm in support of that. All the strikes. My union was supposed to strike 18 months ago, and then it came down to a 51%, 49% vote in favor of accepting the contract that the Producers Guild was offering. And there's still a lot of people upset that was accepted because not everyone was happy with that one. So we were ready to go. Obviously, I want people to get back to work because it's hard to not have a job and you don't know how long it's going to go. It's like COVID all over again.
Oh,
right.
My God.
A couple years ago, everyone was like, put us back to work. Man, what's going to happen? Nobody knows. And nobody could work. And now we can be working. Everyone's like, we're not working. We're not working until you pay us.
Yeah. So if you guys would have went on strike with everybody else, that could have been totally catastrophic.
That one would have been even bigger because the IATSE union, which is what the Editors Guild is a part of, includes hair and makeup, props, wardrobe. It includes like so many more unions that literally would have shut down everything. It's everything except for actors, drivers, and directors, writers.
Wow.
The big ones.
Well, I hope personally you're back to work very, very quickly. And
so does my wife. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, she's probably ready for you to get out of the house already. But you guys, all you guys deserve what you deserve, making people like myself escape the real life problems, and you guys do a great job of it. And I just want to commend you for doing what you do to have a person like me escape real life and go see these movies and go do stuff. And just be entertained. So
Oh, nice. Well, you're welcome, and thank you for saying so. Yeah, it's weird. We're just in a weird time in the country right now where the disparity between the really rich and the not is getting wider and wider, and more people are upset about that. I mean, you got UPS is about to go on strike too, right? In a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and it's the exact same issue. Like the people at the top are getting paid so much, like you have to cut salaries in half for like 10 people to pay everybody. That's it.
Yeah.
It's so
wild. Me personally, we're waiting for our contract to go too, but we can't go. We can't do stuff like you. We can't go on strike. We still have to work, but we're waiting for our contract where I work. So it's
totally
crazy
different in
everywhere.
Government. Yeah. My dad was a government employee, so we went through that a couple times when I was a kid, I remember. But anyways.
Well, speaking of your dad and your parents and stuff like that, where did you originate? Where did you grow up? If you don't mind me asking.
So I grew up all over the United States. My dad worked for the federal prison system. He retired as a warden.
Oh, nice.
He wasn't a warden the whole time, but probably most of it. And I was born in Texas, but I lived in Southern California, Northern California, Texas, Maryland, Oregon, Arizona.
Wow.
And then finally, when I was on my own, I went to college in LA and then ended up moving to Georgia.
And so
6 years
you
ago.
are you live in Georgia right now. So
yeah, I moved out here to work on a movie called The Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War, and then we liked it out here so much that we just decided to stay. So
well, and I appreciate you for working on those two movies. Yeah. So what captivated you into liking this genre of work?
Filmmaking or post-production stuff?
Everything. Well, what was the first thing you actually liked that you wanted to do when you were younger, and then it got you to where you were at now?
You go through all the regular stuff when you're a kid. Like you're going to be an astronaut, you're going to be a policeman, all these things. I was really interested in movies like as long as I can remember. Whenever we would rent movies from Blockbuster and Hollywood Video, remember those days?
Yeah, I remember those. But now it's a red box now or streaming.
I think DVD got big when I was 13, something like that, 14. And I took every DVD that we rented every weekend and watched every special feature that had, whatever behind the scenes stuff they had, pictures, production notes, the most boringest, nerdiest movie stuff that you could think of. I just inhaled all that. And when I figured out you could go to college to learn how to do this, like this could be a career, it just clicked for me. I knew that's what I was going to do. So ever since then, that's always what I wanted.
Well, that's awesome. Well, living your dream is a cool thing. So when you told your parents that you were going to go to college and do films, what did they say?
My memory of it, not great. When a teenager says, I'm going to go do something completely the prison system, you're not going to work for the government? No, I'm not going to do that. It took some convincing. It was tough to get some cosigns on the student loans.
Who was the harder one, mom or dad?
They were both. You know what? To their credit, they supported me the whole way and said, okay, but understand what you're getting yourself into because you're taking us down this road too when we sign on this stuff. And it worked out all right. You know what? And I think I've proven myself at this point. So this is a great career to be in if you love working hard and love, being a part of this type of thing, right? Because I loved movies and I was always just thinking, I want to be on the biggest movies, whatever it is, because I'm watching those every weekend. I want to be a part of that. And today I get to be a very small, mind you, but part of that,
Yeah, but
and
still,
it feels like an accomplishment just to say that I can put all this stuff up on my IMDb and see my name in the credits on some of the biggest movies coming out.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, like when you were younger, did you do anything in school? Like, did they have like,
you know what? In high school, never. I was always trying to find that kind of thing, and I always got kind of stiffed out of being in that class.
Really?
Yeah, like I would go to my counselor and say, "Hey, I want to be in a filmmaking class." Oh, we don't have enough students. We're not doing it this semester. And then 2 months later, I find out it exists. What the heck, man? I told you.
So when you went back to your old high school there, they're like, when you graduated, you went back, you know what I mean? They're like, oh my God, we should have listened to you.
I've never, or you know what? I was always the guy who when we had like a project in class, like a group project or something, I was convincing everyone, "Hey, let's do a video version of this. I got a video camera. I'm gonna put music on this. It's gonna be great."
Did they buy into it?
Yeah, usually we would do it. I still have a lot of those on VHS, and they're not good at all. But it was fun.
Hey, yeah. So you went. So what classes that you had to take to get to be the editing and assistant editing and do stuff like that? Communication. You were a communication media major.
No, I'm an art major. I have a
Okay.
bachelor's degree and with a focus on film and video production from a school called Brooks Institute. It was in Los Angeles. It was a very famous school for photography, and then they ended up making a film, arm of it. So that was in the Ventura area, and that school is no longer in existence. So I have a degree from a school that doesn't exist anymore.
Wow, what happened to it?
They went out of business. Big corruption it was like a for-profit school, and they're promising things that they never,
couldn't
deliver on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so eventually they just went out of business. And I don't even know what if I wanted to go back to school if I could. I don't even know. So thankfully I haven't needed to yet, but
right.
So it was totally a focus on film video production. I took regular, math, finance, science classes, all that stuff, but the real bread and butter was cinematography, writing, editing, directing, documentaries, whatever they could throw at you. So
what was your first one, if you can remember? Can you recall your first one that was like the professor's like, oh yeah, you can go further in this career?
Oh, nobody ever says
they don't say that.
No, they say that to everybody.
Oh, okay. Like, this is the one. Oh wow, this is great that you could actually go higher, and if you keep working on it, you can get to where you need to be. They didn't give you a little bit of push, or they pushed
a couple
everybody
times
like that.
I would turn in scripts, and they would be like, "Hey, these are really good. It would be a shame if you don't make these." And a lot of them never got made. But I had a short that was pretty good. One of the teachers really liked. You know what? I learned a lot of that school, but at the end of the day, it didn't do me any good to like get a job. Like they didn't help me find the job.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So unfortunately.
Well, Rick, did you save all that stuff that you wrote? Do you have like a folder that stuff somewhere?
Oh,
all that
totally.
Stuff? Yeah.
I've been
you ever go back
from house to house, and like my wife saying, "You got to throw this stuff away. It's trash." Never throw that stuff away. I got ideas in there.
Right. Because you could go back and you could cut and slice certain projects together and come up with something.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Right out of college, I lucked into a job working for a place called Cameron Pace Group. I didn't even know what it was. I went in with somebody who was like, "Hey, I got a job for you. Maybe come down and try it for a week and see if they like you and stuff." And the first day I got there, everyone was standing around in a circle talking about the movie they just seen last night because they went to the premiere and how great it was. And I'm like, what is this? What are they talking about? Until it clicked for me that they were talking about Avatar #1. I started there the day Avatar #1 came out, and it was the place that made the 3D for Avatar. And Cameron and James Cameron was my boss, and I had no idea.
Wow. That was wow.
So immediately I worked there for 3 years, and we were doing all 3D dailies because you remember 3D like blew up at the time, and everyone wanted a piece of this because it was getting people back in theaters.
Because I actually seen that in 3D, so it was I saw it when it came out in 3D.
So they had developed the 3D rigs that they were shooting what we call native 3D, and I was doing 3D dailies for them. So that's like all the film processing that happens at night. Everything that they shot during the day has to get to the editing team. So I was in charge of all that stuff, and that's where I worked on some of the biggest movies. So I was on like Hugo. That was the first movie I worked on that actually was released, and that was an Academy Award Best Picture. And I was like, dude, this is easy.
So your first job was working on Avatar.
I started there when Avatar was released, so I didn't work on that one.
Okay.
But the first movie I did work on that came out was Martin Scorsese movie. You can go back; it's great. And I'm like, dude, this is so simple. How come everyone says it's so hard to get into this industry?
And you're just
little did I know it's still very difficult.
Right. Wow.
But so that kind of kicked me off, and I got to work on a ton of cool 3D movies, and ended up. Eventually, I got called to do. There was a place looking to hire somebody in Atlanta at Pinewood Studios to do dailies, and it was for the Avengers movies. And I somehow my name got thrown in, and I asked my wife, "Hey, would you ever consider moving to Atlanta? Because this could be a long movie." And she said, "Yeah." So we came out, we bought a house, and we've been here ever since. Just working on a lot of Marvel stuff. At some point, I left dailies and got into assistant editing. So you want to talk about that too, right?
Speaking of Marvel, now did you know about the Marvel characters going in when you do the editing and stuff? Do you know them personally? I mean, is that something you did when you were a kid? Did you ever?
Yes and no.
read?
I grew up on Batman, the animated series, and the
Okay.
Superman one, and then I watched a lot of Spider-Man, the cartoon. And I
Sure.
watched a lot of X-Men, and that was pretty much it. There were some other cartoons out there, but I never really watched like the Iron Man one or whatever. I read some comics, but I can't say I was like a diehard comic book reader. And then when the MCU started, I was in because I just like big movies, and those were the big movies. Like that's the big action adventure genre that we have now. And it's not really adventure movies anymore. It's not so much action movies. I mean, there's still big action movies, but
well, let me get your take. Do you feel that I don't think it's that way, but the superhero fatigue has set in?
Yeah, it's real. Yeah, it's real.
Okay.
It's the same. It's the same as Westerns.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be Westerns all the time before I was born. And we look back at the 20 best Westerns ever made and just worship them, but people forget how many of those were coming out.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
And so it's the same thing. You're going to look back at these days in 40 years and remember the really good superhero movies. And it's just going to be a genre like that, But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to keep up with it all. And everyone wants a piece of it. And everyone's doing a different take on it. And a lot of them are not that great. But Marvel just seems to deliver like maybe not the best. Every single one is like a banger, but all of them are pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you can't hit a home run every time. Yeah, I mean, me being a comic book enthusiast and collecting Marvel all my life, like I'm old school. Like the storylines can't be. I understand they can't be like the comic books anymore. I totally understand that. And I totally get it. Storylines are changed. Like now at the Secret Invasion, nothing like the comic book because that's just how it is.
Well, you also don't want it to be exactly the same because
no,
there's no surprise.
Well, everybody spoils everything for me.
Yeah.
You guys do your movies, and then as soon as you guys put it on a reel and it's shown 2 seconds later,
you got to be real careful on social media, and you got to go watch that thing early if you don't want
I go MCU, Star Wars, any big stuff that comes out, I got to go that weekend because somebody will ruin it for me.
Yeah, totally.
And people just like that. They thrive on ruining stuff for everybody because
I don't understand it.
I don't either. It's just
I'm not that
social
kind of
media. No, I'm not either. Social media sometimes is a double-ended sword.
You're right. It's a type of person. It's not the type of person that thrives working in this industry. I was working on Endgame before Infinity War ever came out because I shot those movies back to back, and I knew how Endgame ended before anyone even knew how Infinity War started.
Right,
it was crazy. So many things I had to keep secret for literally years.
How hard is that's
time travel?
I couldn't do it. There's no
Thor, way. Like everything, who lives, who dies, who's getting dusted, all that stuff.
Oh my god,
it's crazy, but it's fun to keep it like. It's just like you just keep it as a secret. You don't want to spoil it for anyone. You want them to experience it the right way. But man, it can be tough sometimes. People say, "Oh, so what is going to happen?" So who's dying in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? You just gotta go watch it.
I'm a big guy, but that movie, you guys did a great job because it was very emotional. Gunn did a great job. You guys edited whatever you guys did was super emotional for me. I mean, it was
good.
I'm crying over a raccoon. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a big dude.
A cartoon raccoon.
I know, but but those movies have me. It's like that's where the escape the realism of everyday life. And you guys do a great job of bringing it on how you have to edit it. And then there's probably a lot of stuff that you're cutting on the floor. That's probably some great footage too. Like you guys have to. What do you guys put it into like the extras? Like you said when you were a kid,
I wish that they did more. I don't see that stuff anymore because I don't get Blu-rays anymore. I just watch everything online, and there's definitely a place for it. Like just put it in, like the little added feature or whatever on the tab, But a lot of times you don't see that. Marvel's been pretty good about releasing. What do they call those? Assembled or something?
Yeah,
It's like the behind the scenes featurettes as its own
on
thing.
Disney Plus. Yeah, but so you don't get so you stream everything. You don't like the physical copies.
I rarely get anything physical.
Okay, because sometimes I have to have a physical copy. I don't know because I'm old. Maybe now
Yeah, I don't own it. It would be nice to have. Sometimes those things disappear, but there's enough for me to consume.
So if they did that, you would actually be game of watching the extras, and there's probably some good stuff that just didn't make it to the original cut. So you guys
That's
have to go through
always
it.
the case. Not even in Marvel stuff. A lot of times when you work on funny things, I go watch it finally when it's done, and I'm like, oh man, they cut that bit. That was the funniest thing. It's not even in here.
And they can't, and you can't say, "Hey, this is funny." There's no. Once they make that decision, it's cut. It's already onto the floor.
I should clarify. So I'm an assistant editor, and I usually only work on shows while they're shooting. So I handle all the footage like as it comes in and hand it off to the editor, and then as soon as they wrap, I kind of jump onto another project and do that again somewhere else, and then that project will go on and be edited, and all the visual effects and music and everything for the next 18 months. That I won't have any part of it.
But you're keeping busy every time you're jumping from one
one
project to the next.
So it means I know the script. I know basically everything that's going to happen. I've seen all the footage, out of order and stuff. Maybe I've seen some sequences edited roughly, but for the last year, I haven't seen anything of it. And when I go to the theater, it's like the first time.
Wow. So, and I seen your resume, and it was a lot of Disney Plus shows and
they shoot a lot of those in Atlanta. Yeah,
because it's a good setting, a good location.
It's cheap here.
Okay,
that's why
it's like Pittsburgh too. Pittsburgh is very. I'm an hour north from Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is they shoot a lot of stuff down there.
I don't know what it's like there, but in Georgia we have a huge tax credit, so you can get like 30% tax credit. And when you're doing a $300 million movie,
right?
You'd see how that can add up.
Oh yeah,
it's like worth it for them.
Yeah, you're not getting Union Pizza there for lunch break. You know what I mean? You gotta watch the budget. I'm sure
people have a hard time understanding that because it's the same thing in like Australia. I know they do one or maybe two. Yeah, I think like one Marvel movie a year out in on the Gold Coast in Australia, and people can't believe how it's cheaper to fly your cast and crew from everywhere in the world to Australia to film a movie because of the tax credits than it would be to just shoot it all in California.
I mean? It's all about the tax credits. Yeah, because I read where they're still out of country, they can still film stuff because the union's different.
It depends on the union. If it's an American production, they're supposed to be on strike. So that's the bulk of what we consume here. Like most of the actors you see are all SAG. Most of the directors you see are all DGA.
Right. I mean, it's a great.
You can get around it. If you're shooting in India or something or China, like they're doing their own thing. But most of the stuff you're gonna watch is American. That's why a lot of it's shut down. I just saw that Dune. Is HBO Max doing a Dune series?
I thought they were. Well, they put the first Dune on because Dune, the second one should be coming out.
Yeah, but I think there's a spin-off series too, and I think that's a production that is shooting still. Like they're just doing it over in Europe. They're just moving ahead.
Well, that's the same thing as the House of Dragon.
Are they still going?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
I haven't read that.
Yeah, I read. Yeah, I mean, because I try to keep up, but it's so much it's so
maybe technically those aren't American projects. Like they're all handled out of another country.
Yeah.
So,
and you did, and I read some stuff where you worked on also the Mandalorian.
Yes. So season 1.
Oh, geez.
Okay, let me tell you about Mandalorian season 1.
Sure.
This was when I was still working at Pinewood Studios in Atlanta, and we had just wrapped the Avengers movies, and our company was doing dailies, got hired to do the dailies for them, and they shot that whole thing in Los Angeles on the volume, right? Like the LED wall, so everything's an LED wall. And it's funny. I put the computers together for them. I put them in boxes. I shipped them to LA. I didn't see them for 6 months. They came back. I probably spent 3 hours on the phone with them, helping them with some tech, like support calls or whatever. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan. That's like my jam. Before the MCU ever existed, I was a Star Wars kid.
Okay.
So when Mandalorian came out, I was like there, day one. Let's watch it because I'm hyped for Star Wars to be like a Star Wars TV show. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You could not have convinced me when I was 10 years old that this would exist in my
No,
lifetime, right?
you had to pinch yourself.
We had 3 movies and nothing else. There's never going to be anything else.
Right.
So I was there, and then I was watching the credits to find my friends' names, and I was in the credits.
Nice.
I'm on a Star Wars show. I called him up. What am I doing in the credits? Oh, that was a favor. You're welcome. Holy cow. Thank you so much. So I got the poster on my wall. Before I came to do dailies in Atlanta, I was working for a company where I was kind of getting away from dailies a little bit. I was working on set with I'm not going to go too far into it, but sort of a new technology that mounts on a camera and lets you see the green screen live on the camera as you're shooting it. So you can see like what the background will look like, and you can do animations and stuff, and you can move the camera around and it knows what it's looking at, if that makes sense. Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what, it's called NCAM. You know, in the NFL, when you have text on the field and the camera moves and it looks like the text is stuck to the field.
Okay. You know I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's NCAM. So it knows how the camera's moving, and it can put an animation and pin it like to the ground or something, and then the camera can move around it as if it were there for real.
Wow.
So I was developing that with these guys, and we had a secret guest coming in one day. Nobody knew who it was. So we set up this demo on how this thing was going to work. And we were all waiting around for like 30 minutes.
Don't tell me who I think I'm going to guess. Because
and then they walked in and they all had Stormtrooper helmets. And I was like, this is Star Wars. Holy cow. I don't even know if Force Awakens had come out yet. That might have been right after Disney had bought it and they were talking about doing this. It was wild. I couldn't believe it.
So they came in with trooper helmets on. Do you think anybody big was in underneath that helmet?
No. They didn't have any actors. It was just the costumes.
No, like especially if you're doing this stuff, and George wanted to see some stuff, maybe he put his helmet on.
I think they shot a bunch of tests and brought it back, and they were trying to figure out what to do. And that was for the LED wall that ended up being the Mandalorian set. So it's cool. I have a friend who worked on all the seasons of Mandalorian on set, and he says that when you sit in the cockpit of anything, and then they turn on the hyperspace, whatever, you go into hyperspace, right? The stars go crazy. It's like, whoa, it's really happening. Because it's so big, the LED wall just fills your entire field of view, you know?
Wow.
Oh, man, that's wild.
That's just amazing. So you did the first season, and for me, now I'm old school Star Wars, like the last 3 that they did, it was good in money wise, but being an old Star Wars head, I believe the Mandalorian saved the franchise of Star Wars, in my opinion. And it's great. Like, it was like when it came out Friday nights, boom. Everybody still is into it. I think so.
Yeah, it took the culture a little bit by storm, because Baby Yoda is like everywhere. And where did this come from? This like relatively small Star Wars TV show that's on one, you can only watch it in one place. It wasn't even a movie.
No. And so you did the first season.
That's it. Yeah.
And then you they probably had like a big premiere and stuff, I'm sure. You guys, now when you guys do that, do you get to go to the big premieres of everything that you do?
So before COVID, yes. If you're in LA, you usually get an invite to that kind of thing, and I've never gone back to do that. Before COVID, they would usually do like a cast and crew screening somewhere in downtown Atlanta, and everyone would come. So there's a huge theater here that seats like, I don't know, 20,000 people, maybe something like that.
Holy
it's like a live arena. It's like a live theater though. That's where all the biggest bands come to play and stuff. That's in the stadium.
Gotcha.
And they rented that place out for Black Panther, the first one, and for Infinity War, and put the huge screen up, and everybody, like, you've never seen a movie until you've watched it with 20,000 people. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so they invited us all to that, and it's cool to sit, watch that with everybody. And they invite, radio tickets, and whoever's giving out tickets, come see that all together. So that's fun. Ever since then, they haven't really been doing that. A lot of the stuff I do is TV, so it just airs on TV. And then for the handful of movies, they just do them at like smaller theaters, like just your regular Cineplex, whatever the big one is downtown.
Right.
buy like 10 screens or whatever and invite people. But
20,000 people, because I'm sure doing those movies, there's nobody talking. So 20,000 people in that premiere,
dude,
it's quiet.
Remember the scene at the end of Infinity War when everyone starts disappearing?
Yes.
It was so quiet. You could hear a pin drop in there. And then as soon as the next person comes up, they start to dust away. Everyone just groans together. Oh no! And then Black Panther starts to dissolve away, and we're in Georgia, right? So a lot of Black Panther fans down here, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And he starts to go away, and everyone goes, "Oh!" And this one voice comes from way freaking so far away. Oh hell no! And everyone started laughing. It was like one of the best movie experiences I've ever had. It was just so great to be in the room, and
those movies,
everybody's just pinned, and all the little kids that are there who love Spider-Man are like in tears, and oh my gosh, it was awesome.
it was the Han Solo Empire Strikes Back, know, and I mean that's totally what it was. Yeah, I mean,
and then it ends, and everyone just goes, "What? That's what? That's a movie experience almost everybody in America had worldwide. Even.
I agree. I was the same way.
And it ends, and you go, "What? You have to wait a year to find out," and we were all just stuck. No way! How?
yeah, because it does remind me of Empire Strikes Back, because when Boba Fett took Solo and was gone, and then they had to go look for him with Calrissian and Chewie. You know what I mean? Like, you had to wait, and I was 12 years old, and I'm like, oh my god!
What?
So the kids nowadays, that was their Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, for a lot of people, I think
that.
it was.
Yeah, because those two franchises, are paralleled. So let me ask you a question, Rick. What's the difference from MCU and the Lucasfilm stuff, since you did both? I mean, could be the same, or are they both a little different?
You mean like the filmmaking side of it?
Yeah.
In my experience, not so different. And in fact, the MCU is not really that different than anything. It's all just the same stuff. When you get like day-to-day work, it's all the same. It's just rolling cameras and people in costumes. And what sets it apart is the writing being really good or not. And then
what do you mean, oh, not? Lately, or
I just mean like sometimes what sets the MCU apart from any other thing is the writing is like exceptional, right? You have characters that you care about, and they have the money to pay for stunts that look amazing, and they can afford visual effects that look amazing, versus some other properties. Not always the case. So that's the real thing that sets it apart. Is you have characters that you care about and good writing, and they have like a singular vision, which is great, that a lot of the other franchises don't have, right? Where it's just kind of like people fighting for what they think it should be, and I think you can see that. But as far as day to day, it's like all the same stuff.
All the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if there was a different accord with Lucasfilms compared to MCU, but I mean, they're both under the Disney.
I've spent so much time in the MCU, like almost exclusively for the last 5 years, and I love working here. Everyone's nice. Everyone has the same goal. They're really loyal to the people that they employ. They really don't want to like let anybody go or fire anybody for poor work. Like they're gonna figure out a way to keep you around. And it's just a great vibe. I love it all. I have no complaints.
So when James Gunn went over to the other side, I mean, it was a friendly, him going to the other side, but still, they probably didn't want that to happen, I'm sure.
Yeah, I wonder about that, because you will never hear anyone say anything bad, because they all want good relationships.
Sure. Well, he's just phenomenal anyway. Like,
so I wonder, like, does that hurt the people in charge at Disney or not? I don't know. For us as fans, it's good, because having good content on both sides is only better for everybody.
Right. What do you think he's gonna? What's your quick opinion on him going over there and restructuring the DCU?
I think if anyone could do it, it's him, but he's got a lot of work to do.
Okay.
It hasn't been going so well over there. They spent something like, was it $2 billion on the 4 movies that are coming out this year? And the first 2 were flops. Shazam was one of the biggest flops in years. And then
Flash did even worse. And then the next one coming out is Blue Beetle. And sorry, I've never heard of Blue Beetle before.
I heard of him briefly, and I don't know if he's going to be able to carry anything, and I guess he's going to be in that universe. I don't know. He's great in Cobra Kai. I just don't know if he can.
Oh, the actor?
Film. Yeah, I don't know if he could hold.
I've never even heard of the character. Like, how there's been people going to show up for this?
Yeah.
And then you got Aquaman 2, which has its own problems.
Yes.
Like reshoots and a lead actress that nobody wants to watch. And man, I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do with it.
Well, I think everybody that worked for James, actor-wise, will go if he asks them to go with some DC, like, Batista said he would go and stuff like that. Like, now, could you? I'm just hypothesis here. Could you work both? You can't work both companies, can you? If they asked you.
Then nobody cares about that.
You can work both companies.
Yes. Yeah,
you can do anything.
I'm a freelancer, and so is everybody in the industry. Unless you're contracted like as an actor, maybe they say, by the way, you can't be in any of them. I don't know if any contracts like that exist, but as far as rank and file people, they bounce from job to job.
Okay, see, I didn't know that. See, that's good. That's good to know. I mean, because I was working on.
I think it was Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Great movie.
In the Office. Oh, sorry, not Winter Soldier. I always mix those up. The first Disney Plus show.
Falcon. Yeah, that was great. That was great though too.
And literally on the other side of my office was a soundstage shooting the Black Adam movie. Like 30 feet away. So it really it doesn't.
Everybody's all in though. It doesn't matter because it's competitive in a friendly kind of way.
Yeah,
it just adds to the superhero movies, and it just keeps it going. I mean, I thought Black Adam was actually, no offense, better than Flash, but that's just me.
I haven't seen Flash yet, but I kind of liked Black Adam. I liked how it was
too.
Different. It was like in a city you're not used to seeing, and they spent the whole time there. It wasn't just like a globe trotting thing like everything is.
Well,
and it was kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, like grittier, like desert. It was like a desert theme almost.
I like The Rock.
I thought it was cool. I love The Rock.
Yeah, I love The Rock too.
The thing I didn't understand was like, how does this fit in with everything? Because you got he has the Shazam powers, but Shazam's not here, and then we have a Shazam movie coming out, and nobody thought to call this other. I don't know, man.
I think he wanted to make Black Adam like the big time character to go toe to toe with Cavill's Superman there, and that didn't transpire.
It never happened. Yeah.
No, and I loved him as Superman, and I will have to sit back and see what James has for this Superman legacy. I'll just sit back and watch.
Just let them do what they want to do, man.
I just want to be entertained.
What they want to show you. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And there was nothing. I actually liked all the cast of all the DCU stuff they've ever done. I thought all the casting was great. I even like Ben Affleck as Batman.
You know what? You're not the only one. A lot of people, but you haven't seen Flash, and I don't want to spoil it because I'm that kind of person.
Yeah, don't spoil it yet.
I will never do that to you, Rick. But since 1989, I saw that Batman in the movie theaters here in my hometown.
Oh yeah,
when I was a little kid. So I've always been a Michael Keaton guy.
Yeah, sure. I grew up on those. That's all the Batman we had. But you have a lot of Batmans. I don't have complaints about any of the Batmans. I think they're all great. Okay. Casting wasn't the DCU's problem. It was just like, that's what got me on this. It was a singular vision to tie this all together. That's what the MCU has.
And that's what DC does not have as of yet. Okay.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Well, it's good to know because I didn't know. I thought that they couldn't. I didn't know you could work from one and the other, and there's no problems. I did not know that. So I learned something new today, which is very good. That's awesome. So you still do that, but you also had other aspirations to do. I looked at some stuff you've done. Some movies of your own, correct?
Yeah. Okay. So while I'm doing all this stuff, I still want to be an editor. I want to stretch those editing muscles.
Okay.
So for 7 years or so, I've been cutting indie features in my free time whenever I have a break, or sometimes they understand I'm on something big, so it's going to happen slowly, and I'll just cut, on the weekends or at night and stuff. So I'd cut like 4 indie features for this company out in LA, and I had this idea for something we could do about in their budget range. and I wanted to direct something, like just to say I'd done it and write something. And I did, and they liked it. And I pitched it to them, the idea. They liked the script, and they said, let's do this. So they helped me put my own feature together. And you watched it. It's called Solid Rock Trust.
I did watch it, and it was very good.
Can I tell people what it's about real quick?
You can do anything you want to on this show.
Okay, so this is if you like bank heist movies, this is a bank heist movie that you've never seen before, right? So it takes place in a single room, and that room is not in a bank, and it's got one actor. She's on a whole bunch of cell phones. She has a whole bunch of accents. She has a whole bunch of languages. She's pretending to be different people depending on who she's talking to on the phone. And everything that you would expect to happen in a bank heist is going to happen in this movie. We hit all those tropes. So, cops get called and double crossings and lots of surprises and what are we really stealing and how much are we really going to take and who's going to get away with it? All this stuff is still going to happen. And the difference is you're doing it from the view of the person in the chair. Usually you're like calling in to the person who's organizing all this stuff. But in this case, we're watching just her, and the whole thing plays out from her POV. So
yeah,
it's super fun.
I've never seen that happen before. I've seen a lot of bank heist movies and stuff like that. Like for me, I didn't know what was going on. And the actress who did that, like, was great because she had to do different dialect. You know what I mean? And I was like, well, I didn't know what the heck. I seriously didn't know what was going on. Like, I was like,
I gave you the link, like, hey, here's my movie, without prefacing at all, like what you're about to watch.
No, but it had me. I'm like, I thought, we were going to see some bank heist, and we seen people on the phone calling in, and I'm like, so how long did it take you to actually film this movie? Because
so we shot the movie in 11 days.
Holy heck!
Pretty quick, yeah. So usually you shoot like 3-ish pages a day on the big stuff, and then TV might be like 5 or 6 pages a day. We were shooting like 10 to 12 pages a day, and it's kind of cheating, right? We weren't changing locations, and we had a very small cast, so I could get through it quickly.
Okay,
but we did it real quick, and she just came super prepared. She could do the whole script almost without even stopping, from memory. And we had all the phone recordings recorded ahead of time with the actors and edited. So we just pushed play on the phone recordings, and then she acted to them. And it went great. Yeah, it was super fun.
So how did you have to be there to pick the actors who played the lead character? Was that you?
Yeah. We did a casting call in LA actually before COVID. I wanted to find somebody who could cry. I wanted to find somebody who could memorize a lot of dialogue, and someone who could do accents really well, right? Because that's a big part of the script. And she nailed all of those. I didn't call her back right away because I didn't know like when we were gonna actually make this. And I called her like a year later after quarantine and everything. I was like, hey, I don't know if you remember, you auditioned for this thing. I'm gonna make this. I would like to talk to you about it if you're interested. And she said, yeah, of course. So we had a Zoom call kind of like this and hit it off. And like, man, it's tough on both ends. It's tough for me to pick somebody who is going to carry a movie like this, you know? And it's also tough for someone like her to accept a ticket and fly out, to Georgia for someone she's never met on an indie feature and really be vulnerable, right? She doesn't have people to act against very often. She's like going through a lot of emotions. We're going to showcase her accents, her languages, and it's all on display. There's no way to hide if she can or can't do this,
Yeah, because she was
took a lot of trust.
Yeah, and she was working by herself because the two people come in on the one shoot, and then at the end, that was it. It was her the whole movie.
Yeah, she's great. She totally carries it, right? You feel like you know that person at the end.
Yeah, and she's vulnerable.
And this movie's basically in real time because we never really cut away, so it's like more or less 90 minutes out of her life, and yet you feel like you've come so far with her,
Yeah, and then the other girl on the other end was trying to take over the stuff in the bank, and it was just messing her up, and then all the phones, and then the one time when she called the bank, she let it slip, with her accent, and
she makes some mistakes.
Yeah. So
nobody's perfect.
Well, but people try to be. But I thought it was real good. I never saw that. To me, it was like kind of like the Jodie Foster in Panic Room because it was just like Jodie, but also too, it was like Jodie and her daughter So it was more than just one actress, an actor.
Right.
But
and that wasn't
was
a single room, but it was a single house. And I love stuff like that. I love where you can get a thriller that takes place in a real confined location and play with like who's on whose team and what's going to happen next. And, you can do reveals and twists that in another movie, picking up a phone and talking to somebody like can be so meaningless, but here, because the scale is so small, it feels so important,
Yeah, she had like 17 phones there. It was just, and she had to make everything was right. And if anything ever got out of line, like the whole plot, the whole bank heist would be just.
But let me ask you, you didn't get confused, right? Because it kind of leads you along. It gets a little more complicated,
sometimes I do get confused easy, Rick, but I was maintaining, and I like when that couple come in and she was up top, and I'm like, and she had that injury. I'm not going to say, but I was like, right there, I'd have been screaming. And she stood tall and fast and just kept quiet. And then she was very vulnerable in the middle towards the end. And she just at the end, I didn't see that coming. Like the end when I'm not going to give it away, but
don't spoil it for your audience.
No, the cell phones are a vital part, and somebody gets a ping, and then that was like, wow. So it was
nice.
Somebody has a heart. Yeah, it was good. It was real good. So
I'm so glad you liked it. It's kind of a different fare than the usual, big budget Hollywood movies, right? It's something a little different for you.
Well, it was in depth with you said with the characters that she had to play, and it was interwoven when she had to pick up different cell phones, and she had to be very astute on which she had to, talk. If she messed up, it was over. You know what I mean? Because it was 11 minutes. I think I timed it 11 or 12 minutes in. That's all she did in the first 12 minutes was doing all that stuff.
Right.
And I didn't have any clue. I didn't have any clue what was going on.
Where this is going, like what's happening?
I was like, wow. And then when I told you, I was like, yeah, it's really, and I'm not like, blowing smoke up. You know what I mean? I watched it and I thought it was real good. And I told some people it was real good. Like I was impressed.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
Yeah, because it didn't look like an independent. It looked like a like Heat, but Heat was here, a little lower, some kind of something like that though. It looked like an actual movie because a lot of independent movies just have.
I know what you mean. You can kind of tell.
Yeah. So and you can find it on where? Where can you find it?
Yeah, so that's available now a lot of places. You could watch it on Amazon. I think it's a rental there still, but you can watch it on Tubi for free. You can watch it on YouTube for free through our distributor. You could watch it on Google Play and YouTube Movies if you want to do ad-free stuff. But there's a lot of places. I'll give you the link to our link tree.
I'll tell everybody. I'm going to tell everybody. You come on the show. I'm going to tell everybody. Yeah.
Then you guys can listeners, you can just go click and see all the places it's available and leave me a nice comment on YouTube or something because that'd be great.
Yeah. So now, since you did that, do you have any other ask for another movie?
Yeah, I have more ideas. I started writing scripts because I wanted to be a better editor because I felt like if I understood how scripts are put together, why scenes are happening when they're happening, and what makes a good character, and how you pace things, then I would understand when I went in to edit something how to match that what the writer had originally intended, what the director wants to intend. So I kind of just write scripts for fun, and I've got a handful that I could do for lower budgets. We kind of got to see how this one does, get some money back so I could pay for the next one. Okay. And then I kind of had one scheduled, but because of the strike, it's like pushing into when my next break was going to be, which was when I wanted to shoot another one. So I just don't know right now.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you what the higher ups think of that movie, and when did they like, oh, hey Rick, we got this other movie we want you to do. Did they ever done that? It's like, hey Rick,
any higher ups watching this show, you give me a call because I would love to talk to you.
Yeah. Hey, God bless you if you're watching the show, but would that ever happen though? Like they like the executives like, hey.
Anything's possible, but here's what I've discovered in releasing this in the last few months is the people you work with are less likely to watch it because we're all so busy working on other things. And it's really hard to get someone to watch, even to spend 90 minutes of their time to do something like that.
So word of mouth is a big thing. Putting
Yeah,
it out
I think
there.
so. Yeah,
like
I
this,
think so.
Like this Cry to Freedom movie that's just
it's nice to have as a calling card. I've heard a lot of stories about directors who started out with a movie and the studio liked them, but they hadn't directed anything before, so they had to scramble to like have a short ready or something just to prove that they can do it. And I feel like I already have that now. So if something like that comes along, I'm in a good position. If not, I got a daytime job that I'm real happy with. So
right,
good with.
But yeah, but you got to direct your own movie, so you felt like accomplished, but you never can't be complacent.
Yeah, so, it was super fun to try something new. I guess that's what life is all about, right? Is stretching and doing something that you've always wanted to try. But
yeah, so did you have your own special presentation for this movie when it came out? Did you do a little bit of not the 20,000 movie theater, but pretty close to that?
We had a screening or two. I kind of skipped the film festival route because my schedule's so crazy. I didn't know if I could commit to, doing that kind of thing. But so we just released it online for people to watch. I mean, not for free. Our distributor kind of rolls it out in a certain way. So it was a rental for a while, and then it showed up, on a different platform for a while. So now it's available everywhere. But yeah, I'm happy. It's got like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got
That's good.
IMDb
That's
score.
real good.
So people who actually watch it really love it, and just got to get it more. It's grassroots marketing.
That's well, I feel you because that's what I do on this lovely show.
You know what it's like.
Yeah,
just trying to find eyeballs.
Well, yeah, and I have a big mouth. I don't tell spoilers, but I will tell everybody about this movie because
thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I thought it was good. That actress was phenomenal.
She's the best. Koko,
yeah, because
Koko Marshall. So she speaks a ton of languages, anyways. She loves accents, anyways. It's just like
she speaks 10 languages.
I think 4 fluently.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And she has even more accents. And in fact, she had more accents than I had in the script. So some of the accents she does in my movie, she brought.
She was just ad-libbing.
We talked about it ahead of time, but I didn't think I would find anyone with that many. So I had some like doubled up, depending on who she's talking to. Like she does French to more people than she did. And she came in and was like, "Hey, could I do one of these for this character and one of these for this character?" And I said, "Yeah, please, like do whatever you want because it only makes it better."
Right. And so to everybody else, you wanted to know the parts, you got that, and then you just went through and just picked who you wanted for the parts that you had for the movie, or was that hard too, or was it the hardest person to get was the lead actress?
Yeah, hardest part was finding her, and then we did casting out in Georgia, and mostly for just voice actors, but we recorded them all over Zoom, kind of like what we're doing right now. Ahead of time.
Okay, you can't tell.
Just went through the whole script, like scene by scene by scene by scene, and just did one character at a time. Next day we did the next characters. Next day we did the next characters. I edited them all together.
You cannot tell that it was done by Zoom.
Yeah,
like you cannot.
Well, I sent microphones to everyone's houses and had them record on Audacity, and then they just sent me the recordings when we were done, so they were like decent quality. And then I edited them all, and then she would rehearse to those like on her headphones. Said the same thing, so the timing was all right. And I had like some sound effects, like the phone would ring and she'd pick it up or whatever. So it worked pretty good. And
so what made you
her feeling like she was really talking to somebody on the phone instead of.
And what made you come up with this idea to write this though? What was the thing? Because it's probably hard too.
Yeah, I wrote a short back when I was in college because I was just trying to think of like something I could shoot in my apartment, and I thought, okay, a bunch of cell phones would be cool. What would they be doing? I like bank heist movies. Let's try to do a heist like over a phone, and then it kind of expanded bigger and bigger into a feature-length script. So I've had that idea for a long time. Yeah.
So stuff that you had from your past came to this. Oh, okay. That's why you keep everything in a folder.
One of my complaints about indie movies, what you were saying is you can kind of tell like where the budget is. You know what I mean?
Oh, I've been on a couple indie movies, and you can tell the budget. Yeah.
I think a lot of times their mistake is trying to be more than they are. So too many locations, too many actors, too big of stunts. Like you guys don't have the budget to do something like that.
Right.
So my pitch was, what if we took the same amount of money and confined it to one location, very few actors, and just make that look like $1 million, and that would do it. So hopefully it does.
And they agreed with you because it doesn't look like. And I've been on a couple, and believe me, I got a couple chocolate chip cookies and a hoagie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, yeah, it looks. Yeah, I was impressed, and I appreciate you sending me the link and actually having me watch it because first 11 minutes was like I said, I had no idea what was. I mean, I thought it was a real bank heist going in a bank, but everything was not what you thought.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it swerved me.
Yeah.
So
the whole movie's kind of like that. There's nothing there that is real until it's too late, and then
right. Yeah. So no, yeah. So anyway, to lead up, I was gonna, I got these 5 questions.
Oh yeah, the 5 questions.
I got these 5 questions that I do. They're off the beaten path.
Let's do it.
Okay. So what in your head right now is your favorite movie of all time?
Yeah, that's tough. So
I know it is. That's why I asked it.
I got 2 that I tell people is my favorite. Number 1 is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Now this is timely because we just had an indie movie come out, but that was the movie I watched over and over and over and over again when I was a kid and just loved it. That's the movie that made me say, man, I think I want to work in movies. I want to be a part of something like this.
Wow. Okay.
Still love that one. Revisited it recently to get ready for the new movie coming out, and it's still just so great, man. So great.
Mm-hmm. It's good. It's very good.
That was a time when you could get away with stunts that looked so dangerous, and they probably were so dangerous, but they feel so real,
Right.
Like, man, I can't believe that a guy just jumped off a horse onto a tank and I was getting drugged behind a tank. All this stuff. So cool.
What's your second? I'll give you your second. What's your second?
Second one is not just a movie. This is like high art. This is 2001: Space Odyssey. Have you seen that movie?
A long time ago.
Okay.
And that's what everybody has based a lot of science fiction on and stuff. It's
if you haven't seen that movie, I would encourage you to go watch it, except you have to watch it like 4 times before it starts to work. Because the first time you watch it, you're like, what is this? There's no plot. There's no characters. It's so quiet. Nothing's happening. It doesn't make any sense. Well, the second time you watch it, you're like, I think I hate this. I think I hate this movie. The third and fourth time it starts to work. Like, oh, I get it now. The fifth time you watch it, you'll just be in tears the whole time because it's incredible. It's like looking at the Michelangelo.
And that was, I think, in 68.
68, 69?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Because then Planet of the Apes was like in the early 70s. So the original Planet of the Apes actually still scares the heck out of me. So
that first one is so good.
It is good. It's one of the best science fiction movies of all time in my eyes.
It's so old. My wife's not a huge movie watcher. I made her watch that once when we were first married years ago. She's like, really? We're going to watch Planet of the Apes? This movie's old. What is this even about? Come on. And she was gripped because it still holds up so well.
Right. Oh, it still does. I mean, Charlton Heston did a great. But anyway, we could go off all night about movies.
Yes,
I'm sure. Yeah. I bet. I know. Yeah. That's why I wanted to ask that question. That's why I gave you 2. Usually, I give people just 1, and then I had to give you 2.
There you go. You got a fun one, and you got a real cinematic one.
Now this one here is a 2-parter, and it's going to be hard too. Your favorite actor and actress of all time, the person the people that you, if you want to watch a movie, that's the movies you're going to watch. And I know that's going to be hard. I'm sorry.
Actor and actress.
Yeah, I've given you, either both of them.
Let's see. Okay, favorite actress. That's easy. Audrey Hepburn. You can't hold a candle to any. Like, she's just the best. She was good person on screen and off screen, and beautiful, amazing actress. Played so many different characters. You just fall in love with her all the time. I could watch those movies over and over again. Actor. That's tough because you want to go with someone easy like Harrison Ford because he's just been doing it for so long.
And he's good.
Or you want to go with someone who's got a good heart like Keanu Reeves, who's also been around forever. Mm-hmm. It just seems like a good dude.
There's no wrong answer.
I'm just gonna say Rick Moranis because we got the best. We got the same first name. He's coming back. He's gonna be back.
I hope so. I think
they're making a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids TV show.
Yeah,
but they've been canceled at this point.
Well, they could do a Strange Brew too, and I'm all in for that.
You know what? It might have been like a Bill Murray. Except now, more recently, he's getting like bad press for how much of a jerk he is, which breaks my heart. Because man,
I know.
One of my favorites is What About Bob? I just love his character in that movie, and he makes it look so easy to be funny and likable all the time, even when he's an a-hole. You know, you still like him.
Right. Everything I like. I there's not a movie that I don't like him in.
He might be. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with Bill Murray. How about that one?
Okay, that's fine. Everybody you said
now,
was great.
Please don't have sexual allegations in the next month when this comes out. I went on a podcast and like talked up Jonathan Majors like to all the heavens. Like this guy is the second like he's so amazing. We're gonna see him for decades.
I know.
And then 3 weeks later, all that stuff came out. And I went, oh no.
Well, I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
I think.
And then the news changes again. Like, oh man, I don't know what to think. I'm just gonna wait and see.
Right.
Like
yeah. I don't want to.
Like
I don't want to
do.
Yeah, I bet you. Okay. Hobbies outside of work.
Oh yeah. Okay. I got a lot of these.
Okay.
I used to when I was in California. I used to surf every day when I was in college. Love surfing. Nowadays, my exercise is running, so I do a lot of running. Probably do 15, 20 miles a week.
Ooh, wow.
Last year, I trained for an Olympic triathlon. That was so fun. Let's see, what else? I watch a lot of movies, and I say it's for work. My wife says it doesn't count for work because she's like, you're watching another movie? You have to go see Mission Impossible on a Tuesday afternoon, which is what I did today.
Oh,
yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah, I did. Oh, I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. It's for work.
Well, that's what I do too. I go out and see some, so I like to try to give reviews and just put content. And
right.
I do. Yeah, for $5 and popcorn, I can't beat it.
What else do I have fun? I do like to do some woodwork when I have time, like house projects and stuff, like DIY stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What else? I got 2 kids, so I don't have a lot of free time. It's spent with the family. So.
Okay. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh, 5 years. I can hope right now I'm a second assistant editor. I can hope I'm a first assistant editor, maybe with another feature, having directed, maybe 2 if I'm really lucky, probably more like 1, because those are hard to put together. And I would be very happy if I saw myself in 5 years as a first assistant and had another feature done.
Well, if it's like the last one that you just did, your first one, I don't see anything happening, but the sky's the limit. I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. So, okay. The last question of this lovely interview.
The toughest one.
Yeah, this is going to be the toughest one. It usually is for everybody. One word to describe Rick Ives.
Oh, man.
I know.
One word to describe me. I would say energetic.
I feel like that's a good one.
I feel like I'm not the guy who sleeps a lot. I don't sleep very well, so I'm always like doing something and always trying to write or edit something on the side or get the next job or do a podcast with people like Bubba.
Oh, God bless you.
So there you go.
Yeah, that's good. Energetic's good. Yeah, that's awesome. So where could people find all the information about you, Rick, if they want to contact you and look at movies and look at what you're doing?
I mean, you could go to rickives.com. I think that's still up. Rick, Ives is my last name. You could search Solid Rock Trust on Google and find all the places it's available to watch. You could look me up on IMDb if you really just want to see all my credits. That's easy. So that's it.
That's still pretty good.
You could find, if you want to know more about Solid Rock Trust, you can find it on Facebook. I think we're on Twitter. I think we're on Instagram, all those places.
Mm-hmm. And just ask me. I'll give
check the show notes. Check the description.
Yeah.
Our link tree will be in there. You can find out all that stuff.
Wow. You have a vast amount of stuff that we could probably talk for hours on.
And I could. You'd be so bored. You'd be begging me to stop.
I am enthused and I am very interested, and I know you're very, very busy, and I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you getting back to me when I just threw a fishing line out there on social media, and you're like, sure. I mean,
of course.
I mean, I'm very humbled, and I'm very honored that you come on to the show, because your experiences that you just talked about and you've done in your life are something that is extraordinary. And I commend you for doing what you do and keep doing. You entertain people like me doing what you do with the cutting and getting stuff ready. And if it wasn't for people like you, we wouldn't have this good entertainment. So
it's funny. I feel the same way. I feel the same way about podcasters, because I listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm like, man, people keep doing this and I love their shows, but what are they doing this for? Because they love it.
And I'm very driven too. I'm very driven, and I'm very passionate about what I do. Everything I love, I'm very passionate, and that's why the experience is all about. And this is truly, this is an experience for me. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be talking to somebody who worked in Lucasfilms, worked in MCU, that did a feature film on his own. And it's a good film, by God. I watched it and I was very impressed. And you're still working. I mean, right now you're on a little sabbatical.
Yeah.
But you'll be working
out of my control
soon. Yeah, nothing that you did. And hopefully you work. But like I said, Rick, it was an honor, and it was a pleasure meeting you. And if you have anything else or anything you ever want to, just let me know. And you can come on this show anytime. I mean, I do it all. You can come on and if you want to just shoot whatever about pulp culture, you can come on anytime you want to, man. You have an open invitation.
Love
anytime. And I'm honored and glad that you could actually do it. And I know you're busy, but
I might make you regret making an offer that
way. I appreciate people coming on. And like I said, you're very, very busy, and you're doing a whole bunch of stuff, and I appreciate that.
Well, it's a shame you didn't see Mission Impossible yet. We could hang up and then get back on and do a review episode, because I'm hyped on that movie right now.
Are you? Now you got to. Now you're making me want to see it more. And I'm not a big Tom Cruise fan, because his best roles to me was Cocktail and Tropic Thunder.
Oh, so. Tropic Thunder was a good one. Yes, I will give you that.
I love the comedies too. So
I didn't like this one as much as the last one that came out. It didn't quite blow me away, and I still think that Top Gun was better last summer.
Well, Top Gun was big.
There was some cool stuff in this movie, and I'm excited for another one whenever part 2 is 4 years from now.
Isn't that what they're doing now? They're just doing one, and they're doing like a trilogy of all these movies now.
Just
to end. Yeah.
Dude, just give me the movie. I don't need Fast and Furious Part 10, Part 1.
Oh, they're gonna go to Mars and back.
I love Fast and Furious. Don't get me wrong, but you don't need to do that. Also, why didn't you call that movie Fast 10 Your Seatbelts? How do you miss that?
I don't know.
They also missed Fate of the Furious.
That sounds like a kung fu movie. That sounds like a kung fu movie.
That was F8. They just called it Fast and Furious 8, I think, or F8.
Yeah, they're not ingenious when they come up with these titles.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much, Rick. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We're gonna have the links to all Rick's stuff and all to his movie. His movie's going to be there, linked in, and you guys need to see this movie. I'm telling you, and I'll be preaching to the choir, getting people to watch that movie.
Check it out. Yeah. Well, thank you for doing so.
And once again, thank you for coming on the Triple B Experience. It was my honor. So thank you so much.
All right. Have a good night, Bubba.
Yes. Have a good night, Rick. Everybody.
Night.
Yes. Thank you so much. See you later. Let me get this off here. Here we go.